Hello, class. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to go over week number one's discussion forum. So as you get started, I know that there's a lot of information that you're processing about how this semester is going to go and the process of all of the assignments. So I just want to make sure that you get off to a good start with the discussion forums, which also require some attention as you get into them. So the first week's discussion forums will be about looking at service availability and kind of assessing the availability of services in the community for Anita in Widener's shared case. You're probably very familiar with Anita's story already from previous semesters, but this is going to give you an opportunity to look at Anita's story from a different angle and looking at what kinds of services that should be available to Anita and to her children. And this is, in an ideal world, what kind of services would be available and why. So for the initial prompt, that's exactly what you're going to be looking at. You're going to say, in a perfect world, what kinds of services should be available to Anita and to her children. And from what you know from your social work practice, what kinds of barriers or issues might exist that might limit the family from receiving the services they need. So what kinds of things are getting in the way of these services? Is it budget? Is it policy? Is it organizational limitations? Is it environmental? There are any number of areas where services could be limited, and it's your opportunity to kind of discuss why. So for your responses, you're going to follow up with at least one classmate and discuss the similarities and differences you see among your posts. In the second discussion forum post for week number one, you'll have an opportunity to begin assessing organizations. And this is preparing you for your first assignment, which will be an organizational capacity assessment due next week. But this week, you're going to start looking further at assessing organizations. So for your initial prompt, you're going to discuss the organization that you are selecting for your assignments and for your subsequent grant proposal assignments going forward in the class. You're going to name and describe the organization. So this could be a human services or social work organization, something that employs social workers. And look in your syllabus for additional information about what kind of organization. And I have gone over some of that in the assignment overview video and in your welcome video for the class, but there is more information available in the syllabus. So provide 4 to 6 sentences of a description of the organization, and also provide a brief description of your role or the desired role for yourself within the organization. Then for your response, so in this week's assignments in the discussion forum, you will be assigned a partner just for the purposes of discussing your reactions to their post. And responding to your partner's post, you're going to provide kind of an assessment of what kind of social presence that organization has. So you're going to look for media clips, and those could be text, video, audio, screenshots of things you find online, photos, materials that you find online, any kind of presentation of what it is that you've accumulated of what it is that that organization presents to have an official online presence. So maybe that's their web page, their Facebook page, their Twitter feed. It could be other social media activity that organization has. It could be a really terrible website, and you'll uncover that in your assessment of your partner's organization. It could be their presence in the news media. It could be the way other organizations or other news sources are talking about the organization. Those are the kinds of things you want to uncover. So for your response, you're going to write 2 to 3 paragraphs summarizing what you found about your partner's organization, and you're going to address what kinds of evidence you found of an online presence for that organization. You're going to describe what kind of organization or agency it is, how you would describe its characteristics, particularly the way you find it through its online presence. You're going to discuss whether the administrators would be pleased with its online presence or the reputation that you're able to discover online about that organization. Based on the information that you have found, does this seem like the kind of organization that you want to send someone to? I know for me, being in generalist practice and having to access community resources all the time, I rely heavily on what an online presence of an organization looks like. And if an organization looks like it has not developed a website, if it does not have reliable contact information online, if it doesn't look like they've devoted any professional resources to their online presence, I am much less likely to trust that organization as a reputable organization. Whether that's good or bad, that's the impact of an online presence. And so that's something that we're assessing as far as the image that an organization is presenting to the community. Given what the organization or agency does, do you think that the online presence is a good fit for it? And why or why not? So you're going to share at least 3 pieces of the evidence that you have found about the organization. You can be creative about how you present that, but we do want to see what you were able to see about the organization's online presence. So in the discussion forum, you can attach things, you can post photos, any kind of attachments to that, but we kind of want to see what you have found. So that should get you started with the discussion post. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know.